Mind fears. Inherited and inculcated fears have their origin in the deepest parts of the mind. Wanting to understand the reason for such suffering, thinking that is the way to find the solution, is like trying to put out a fire by understanding its origins. Existential fears paralyze creative interactions with one's surroundings and stop the inner circulating energetic fields, bringing forth illnesses and disorders. Transcending the mind is like setting aside the imaginary fire to keep on walking ahead at the rhythm of existence. The paralyzing fears that prevent connecting to deep peace, living in harmony with the all, will be left behind. Undoubtedly, one can only transcend the mind if another level of existence is reached, keeping one's feet on the ground and one's eyes locked beyond the distant horizon, far from all religion and mundane belief. From intention to liberation. Ancient intentions and reflections. Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher from the 4th century BC, who inspired me to walk towards Tao philosophy when I was 23, once said, "Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you overcome others, you are powerful. If you overcome yourself, you have strength." These reflections are intended for minds and egos. Intentions for liberation. If you manage to sincerely love the ones who consider themselves your enemy, you will become invincible, just as the water that endlessly transforms. If you sincerely love yourself, there will be no enemy that will be able to steal your peace, your freedom. You should love those that consider you their enemy, thus turning your back to their foolish mind in order to avoid being its victim, but still willing to embrace their soul essence when the darkness of their mind disappears under the effect of transcendental love, based on infinite patience, and of the healing life circumstances that will awaken their silenced consciousness. Then, there won't be any place left for hatred, rancor, envy. There can be no enmity when one of the parts is friend. Only minds create friends and foes, according to their camouflaged and selfish, at times subconscious, interests. Learning to live from the essence is like learning to turn on the light of existence, which makes any enemy shadow disappear beneath its light. Then flows the vital energy radiating every being and surrounding, as it managed to evaporate blockages and fears. Living from the essence is loving with no intentions, sharing what has been offered, union of all beings through transcendental love. The connection with transcendental love exists because of the necessity to go beyond the hormonal, primitive, selfish, and possessive love, thus transforming this primitive affection into an option and not the only way to love. The lost society wanders on this earth, destroying with each step the land that sustains it, because, generation after generation, the transcendental intention to live in harmony, in balance with the all, isn't transmitted. The selfish and superficial common intention is to be happy at any price, it being taught since a young age by the competitive spirit of society. It is the intention of the mortal mind, whose result we all know: disease, disappointment, depression, destruction, annihilation, the end. The common transcendental intention is to live in harmony, sharing what has been offered between all free beings. It is to be in perennial peace. It is the pure essence of existence, to create and not to destroy. It can only be reached by living from the heart, essence, soul, transcending the mind, the subconscious, and the hormones with care and patience. To love oneself, one must be free from all fear. One must learn how to connect with one's essence. One has to dare to lovingly transcend the mind and hormones, refreshing the transcendental knowledge that explains the only universal reality, common to all mortals, the profound meaning of existence. One must transcend the fear of the dreaded terrestrial death in order to open the door to a fulfilled existence. Unconscious madness. Madness. Definitions published in some dictionaries. Was designated as madness, until the end of the 19th century, a certain behavior that rejected the established social norms. Madness, according to the dictionary, means deprivation of judgment or of the use of reason. There is a great difference between a mental disorder, functional defect of the psyche, and a behavior that differs from that of the rest of humans that make up modern society. Mentally healthy people that are hidden behind materialistic interests and that lead the citizens' future do not hesitate to press buttons and triggers to annihilate dubious enemies. Enemies for the simple fact of not bowing to capitalistic interests. In the past, in the name of God, heretics were defenestrated, considered crazy, witches, paranormal. Nowadays, in the name of democracy, there are wars everywhere. In the name of democracy, hundreds of innocents die every day. Some die under military fire or terrorist action, and many others, especially children, die starving in silence every day as they have been robbed of their futures to guarantee the opulence of the dominant minority. The collective madness that maintains an aggressive system points its finger to those who dare follow another path, the path to simplicity and harmony. Those people are called crazy. The unconsciousness of citizens unknowingly maintains, through democratic elections, this murderous madness, which not only annihilates its own species, but also the nature that maintains the balance of life on Earth. Madness is to maintain a system or a lifestyle that perpetuates sickness to sell health. Madness is having lost the courage to be oneself. Where does madness truly lie? "10 years ago, in the spring of 2009, AtelTrainer was born. A few months prior, I had ended my collaboration as an executive member of the 32nd America's Cup, thus starting an episode of uncertainty as a newly unemployed. Everything started in the most spontaneous and not at all thought-out way, contrary to my many years as a professional who studied and analyzed every detail, every business and commercial action. On a leisurely weekend, while up and kayaking in the rough waters of the Gabriel River, I injured my left ankle in the dumbest of ways. During the pertinent rehabilitation, so many exercises meant to recover the mobility of the injured joint revived in me the sports knowledge I had had as a karate and sports instructor, but which were hidden in the background of my mind, behind so many years of professional memories. One day, Maciel accompanied me driving the car on the way to visit her family. Sitting in the passenger seat, watching the landscape fly by without focusing on any particular detail, meditating with my eyes open, I suddenly broke the silence by saying, "I am going to create a personal trainer company." I was surprised to hear my own words. In this way began my new journey, which was nothing more than my awakening. In very few years, and accompanied by the 4 books in which I have been sharing the evolution of my transcendental knowledge, I went from a personal trainer to a transpersonal trainer to a transcendental trainer, and finally to what others say I am at this moment. Thank you for having joined me during these years, until I moved away from all of you, family, friends, society, to live in connection with the all, far from religions and mundane beliefs. While approaching myself, I walked away. You cannot be in 2 places that opposite at the same time, mind or heart essence. Now I share ancestral healing retreats with the people prepared to transcend for a better world. In the no search, you will find yourself. Symptom. As it is commonly defined, a symptom is the revealing manifestation of a disease. It is a sign or hint of something that is happening or will happen. A person realizes that they are sick when symptoms appear, sometimes strong ones, such as headaches, high fevers, or other times they are more subtle, such as tiredness, apathy, etc. But before a symptom appears, there already is an internal energy imbalance, an imbalance generated by having to adapt to a meaningless lifestyle that is disconnected from the essential. In general, modern medicine recognizes diseases, but only treats symptoms. This is how chronic patients are created, who are large consumers of medicines that only alleviate their symptoms. When symptoms disappear, both doctor and patient alike think that they have been cured. What simplicity! Those who suffer from symptoms regularly are considered chronically ill. They are invited to take medicines every day to relieve or eliminate symptoms. They are automatically labeled as sick people forever. Resigned patients consume more and more medicine as symptoms tend to increase over time, because their principal cause resides in the ever-growing internal imbalance that stems from the patient's lack of adaptation to their surroundings. Symptoms also worsen because of the annihilation or lack of training of the body's defenses, immune system. A low self-esteem or a resignation to living while being a slave to the illness for fear or ignorance of change, for not knowing how to listen to oneself in time, doesn't help either. As my dearly beloved friend from TCM, Traditional Chinese Medicine, once told me, there are no illnesses, only ill people. It is very good and necessary to treat symptoms to avoid unnecessary suffering, but the words disease and sick should disappear from human beings as language. In the animal kingdom, they do not exist. True healing can only manifest within oneself. When the internal balance is genuinely restored, automatically the immune system will become more and more trained to defend our body. Illness appears because of our disconnection from the source, as I explained in my fourth book, Transcendental Love, Ancestral Healing. The greatest internal imbalance of a person appears and grows when someone lives following their social identity and believing it to be their true self, without realizing that the social identity is just an invention created by ignorant and arrogant human minds that walk in the opposite direction to nature and the destiny of the universe. Internal balance only exists when one walks in total ignorance, following the steps of one's intuition that will guide them to their heart. Their essence, their true identity, will manifest itself through the materialization of their transcendental intention to unite and live in harmony. There can be no peace in this world if there is no peace in the heart of every being that inhabits it. Generalized diseases, with their multicolored symptoms, are the result of human beings' internal divisions, victims of an incoherent system. Training course in ancestral healing. After going through a deep liberation program in which they receive ancestral treatments, participants are ready to be taught the transcendental teachings of ancestral healing. To ensure a deep and effective transmission of knowledge, courses are given individually or in small groups in the isolated Valley of Fortunas, Spain, where the Ancestral Healing Center is located. For groups, the language of instruction is English. On a one-to-one individual program, the course is given in Spanish, French, or English, according to the participant's choice. In order to avoid disappointments and meaningless losses of time and money, applicants first have to be accepted according to individualized criteria, based on the fourth book, Transcendental Love, Ancestral Healing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.